For my assessment, I decided to redesign the album Lush by Snail Mail. Lush is one of my favourite albums, and I felt like the strong themes conveyed lyrically would be fun to work with. The album is about heartbreak, with many nods to feelings of seclusion and overthinking. For my first concept, I was inspired by these dreamlike photos by Laricha. I used my digital camera to take the pictures. I set the lens to have a long exposure and a low aperture, and I used lighting to signify disconnection and solitude. Next, I was inspired by Annegret Salto's collages and how she manipulates faces. While designing, I was thinking of the saying that eyes are the window to the soul. I took pictures of some of my friends' eyes, printed them and ripped them out so they had a textured edge. After scanning, I made a couple of rough edits to brighten it up a bit. For concept 3, I used a word search generator website to figure out a rough placement, but ended up moving it around so I could get the album title and artist name where I wanted. In Photoshop, I used a serif font and highlighted the more important elements in red to ensure they were the first thing you noticed. After finalising the 3 designs, I felt like my collage art was the strongest option, so I decided to go forward with that one. I wanted to try some analog typography for the cover. I eventually landed on this swoopy kind of whimsical serif style. I scanned it and masked it, then I put it in the white of the central eye to fill in a bit of that negative space. After that, I masked the center eye and did some editing and put a super high contrast black and white filter on the background eyes. It made the central eye pop a lot more. I also felt like it created some symbolism of isolation that worked well with the album's theme. For the back cover, I went for a messy scrapbooking look. For that grainy texture, I printed a plain black image on a low quality printer and scanned it, which gave me this cool filter. Then I messed around with text placement in Procreate until I decided on something I liked. I wanted to keep the poster pretty similar to the front and back cover. I used the same background and kept the eye as the central focus. I added a couple of different elements and finished it off with a border to frame it nicely. For the vinyl itself, I went with a simple doodle-style sketch of a snail to play into the metaphor of the band's name. And with all the parts complete, I put them all together and made some mock-ups in Photoshop.